Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, 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 and welcome, welcome. Happy Wednesday afternoon. So welcome, welcome. Let me introduce myself a little bit. My name is Alex Cooper. I teach the computer classes at the Columbia County Library in Evans, the Harlem Library, and the Uchi Creek, now Grovetown Library. Yay! And if you've been in one of my on-ground classes before, welcome, welcome. And of course, we're at home right now staying safe with our virtual classes. So glad that you're here too, and if you've been in one of those too. So very glad that you're here with me today. The sun is shining outside. We've had a few days kind of sunshine and rain and storms and sunshine and some odd weather yesterday. So glad that it's kind of being sunny and stuff today. So welcome, welcome. So I'll first start off with class. Please feel free to post any kind of questions you have in the chat. Definitely do. Now, remember we've switched over to YouTube. So you do actually have to be logged into YouTube to be able to post questions and also to subscribe to our library GCHRL videos channel. Okay? So the big question is, how can I help? And as people come into the classroom and stuff, I'll say welcome. So let's talk about some of the classes we had going on this week. So yesterday we did our Windows 10 and flash drive basics class. Now one of the things is that video is still up, and that's kind of a part 3 series. Excuse me. So that's like part 1. And this morning we did internet shopping and digital couponing, which is a lot of fun. So it helps save you some money too. So if you haven't been able to catch that class at all, make sure that you do. And of course the handouts in the chat, just like I'll post it today. And this is our internet and browser basics, which is kind of part 2 to our boot camp. So yesterday part 1, this is part 2, and we do and we will do in the future a basic computer boot camp class, and this is kind of breaking it up into 3 classes. So this is kind of part 2, internet and browser basics, and we're going to cover using our search engine, using keywords, and hopefully this will make you use things like Siri, Alexa, and of course Microsoft Cortana a little bit better too when we start thinking about keywords. And then we'll also talk about using our browser and add-ons and ad blockers and stuff like that. Tomorrow, come join me at 11 o'clock live with intro to Raspberry Pi and project ideas. It's a very great, very fun class. This is a class that we usually do a hands-on, kind of an all-day. We have Raspberry Pis in front of everybody with our wires and breadboards and all that kind of good stuff. So we're kind of covering it again online virtually, give you some good ideas, get started. I'll have the same handout from class so you can kind of learn about this small little computer to do projects with, and I'll give you some project ideas and kind of send you in the right direction. Okay? And tomorrow we'll basically be doing kind of our part 3 at 2:30, Google search and internet safety basics. Okay? So learn the basics of using our search engine. More advanced. We'll also cover internet scams, spotting fake news, and keeping yourself safe online. So we'll continue our learning from today with our search engine and actually go into doing more keywords. Okay? Or excuse me, we're doing our browser today and the search engine is tomorrow. Okay. Here's a schedule of all our stuff that we have going on this month. And don't forget, on the 27th, we're doing a morning and afternoon gadget help. So I'll be live. It's kind of a drop-in. You can ask any questions you want. Morning and then afternoon class. Well, drop-in, we'll say that. Little side note, our libraries are open with limited services and hours. Curbside Holds pickup is available. You can go to gchrl.org for more details. Or, of course, you can call into the library Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Don't forget to like us on Facebook to keep up to date with information, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And, of course, like our YouTube videos, and, of course, like this video, please. And if you're having any troubles, of course, you're on the YouTube channel right now. But if you're searching for our YouTube channel, just search for GCHRL videos, and it'll pop right up. Okay. So let's go ahead and talk about what we're going to cover this afternoon: internet and browser basics. So as folks come in, do you have any questions before we get started? And I'll go ahead and load that, and I'll also post it into our chat so you can download it too. Okay. So any questions before we get started? Hey Mac, welcome, welcome. Very glad that you're here. Whoop, hold on. All right. I'll try to make that as large as I can. And here is the handout. All right, there we go. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. So kind of in class, and you probably heard me before if you've been in another one of my classes. One of the things is we usually have a handout. So basically you have the computer in front of you, and then you have the, I'll come back for a second. We have the handout, and then you basically have the computer in front of you. So it's a good idea to basically have me on a separate little device. And then you can see using the computer in front of you as well, okay? So it's kind of a good idea to do that. So we'll cover some of our handout. We'll kind of switch back and forth and stuff. So let's talk about what we're going to cover this afternoon. We're going to talk about what is the internet, okay? We're going to talk about connecting to the internet. We're going to talk about internet browsers, web addresses, okay, and what is a home page. And I misspoke earlier. Google is tomorrow, so this is part of our boot camp class. We're talking about if we have an address, different kinds of addresses, what all that means. We're going to talk about web addresses, what is a home page, okay, We'll talk about using the Edge browser menu bar. We'll visit a web page. We're going to talk about different ways of scrolling. There's technically about 6 different ways that we can do that. We'll talk about visiting a website. So I just did that. Zooming in our text, which is important because we can actually make our text bigger while we surf the internet. Browser tabs. We'll talk about changing our home page. And of course, saving our favorites / bookmarks. Organizing our favorites / bookmarks. We'll talk about different links that I recommend that you use. And then we'll talk about free browser add-ons that you can add on to your browser. Things like ad blockers, enhancement stuff. And the interesting part is in the class earlier, there was one time someone asked about the Honey app, adding that as far as finding more coupons and stuff. And we can actually talk about that a little bit. One of those things is I'm not a big fan of having a lot of add-ons going on at the same time. But you can turn them on and off, and we'll talk about that too. So any questions before we get started? So I'll just kind of pause for a minute. Do realize the chat has a little bit of the delay, and I do realize that. So sometimes when I ask a question, I'll kind of pause a little bit so that y'all can answer the question, hear the question, think about the answer you want to say or question, and then type it and then post it. Okay. But if you do want to post any questions at all, I don't mind going back, even something that seems like I had just talked about, okay? That's no problem. So any questions before we get started? All right, so let me disappear because I am in the way. And let's talk about what is the internet, okay? The internet is a bunch of connected computers together, more than 50 million people spanning the globe, okay? And we're going to talk about ways we connect to the internet as well. So basically, we have our browser software translates the internet for us. Our website is basically here on a server somewhere or just a computer someplace else. So we're here sitting at our computer. We're using our cell phone. We type in something like google.com, yahoo.com, something like that, and then it sends a request. So at first it goes through our ISP connection, which could be your internet service provider, Comcast, AT&T, Wow, something like that. Somebody that you're paying to get internet service from. And then it sends a request. So this is basically our Earth here. We have all these computers that are connected together. And if you do ever see a picture of it, the way it's connected, it does look kind of like a giant spider web. Okay. And it sends the request from one computer to another. And it kind of like bounce, 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 bounce. And it asks the request from where the actual server is, the web page is, and it comes in, starts sending the files back. Bounce, 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 back through our ISP, internet service provider, comes back through us to our computer. Our browser translates the code so that we see pictures and that we see text. Okay. So it is kind of a game of Red Rover, send google.com over. Okay, it's not really instant. It's more like sending requests and then we wait till it actually gets sent back to us. Okay. The big thing I'll talk about is when do you think the internet is slowest? When do you think the internet is slowest? Well, the internet slowest is usually from 5 p.m. to about 9 p.m. And can you guess why? Well, the main reason is people are home. And of course, right now, since we're all staying home and safe, luckily we haven't had any internet outages or anything like that, which is wonderful. But do you realize supposedly the internet, even with everybody staying home, it's still supposed to be slowest in the evening and at night, okay? Until really, really early in the morning, then it actually is supposed to be fastest. I have recently been trying to basically upload some videos to like Google Photos, and in the afternoon it has not worked out for me at all. Evening, no. So basically I've had to resort to making sure, trying to upload something kind of more in the mid-morning or in the early afternoon to try to upload something, just because their servers may be a little busy. Okay, so do kind of realize that the internet does fluctuate, and it's all kind of under a big strain right now because a lot of us are staying safe and watching more Netflix and stuff. All right, so we'll just kind of walk through here. So you may have a box in your house installed by Comcast or WOW or something like that, and it may just be, first it was called a modem. So let's talk about the first ways that we connected to the internet. The first ways that we connected to the internet was basically using a phone line, late 90s, AOL, stuff like that. We plugged our phone line in, it did the local access number, and then the classic noise would happen, and that's where we connect to the internet. Very slow internet. Our video internet like YouTube and stuff cannot run on that because it actually reached a peak and it couldn't go any faster. Okay, so what do we need? Well, we needed broadband. Okay, broadband, they come and install something at your house. Hopefully it's available there. They basically have a modem plugged in. The first thing came up was basically plugging an Ethernet cable into the computer, connecting that way. Are there still places that is the only way to connect? Absolutely, yes there are. And there's some folks that'll go somewhere and the Wi-Fi is very slow or congested, and they may even suggest you use an Ethernet cable like on your laptop or something. Okay, so that was your wired connection. You tried to get it so it had a longer cable so you could get around the house kind of far, but we wanted more freedom. So what they came up with next was basically Wi-Fi. They came up with Wi-Fi next, and then our box not only was a modem, but it was a router because we needed more plugs on there, and it also became a Wi-Fi hotspot. So technically, the Wi-Fi router, usually look on the back and it has more plugs on the back, usually means it's now three things in one. Okay. With Wi-Fi, we had a shortwave signal, of course. This is the main way most of us get on the internet now, is with our Wi-Fi devices. Of course, the good thing about the Wi-Fi is you can usually have a laptop, have a Wi-Fi device, and you can actually travel with it as long as they have a Wi-Fi hotspot, like at the hotel. Most McDonald's, most Starbucks have Wi-Fi, of course. Having Wi-Fi at your house, you want to try to get the access point is about as high in the middle of the place you want to use your Wi-Fi, just so that you'll get a better signal. Okay. Wi-Fi signal is kind of similar to a cordless phone. So you get in your car, you drive down the road, you lose access that way, and unless you can find a place to stay that has like Wi-Fi there, then you can't get on that way. So what do we come up with next? Well, what we came up with next was wireless broadband. Broadband just kind of means fast internet. Wireless broadband is basically from the cell phone companies like Verizon, T-Mobile, and the rest of them. So this is a way that we could actually get online and surf online as well. Now, first they came out with cell phones that basically plug directly into your laptop. Some devices still can do that actually. You can still do that with an iPhone. Plug it into USB and connect that way. The only thing is that most of these devices now actually can be turned into a personal hotspot. Okay. Now, of course, we're talking about cell phone companies. There's different fees apply and all that, so you have to talk to them about that. I'm just talking about the possibilities here. So you could actually turn on the Wi-Fi hotspot for most, smart Android phones, most, I'll say iPhones, the newer iPhones, of course, 7, 6 and up. And so turn on the Wi-Fi hotspot, and then you can drive down the road and be on Wi-Fi as well, okay, as long as you have a cell phone signal. So that's really the main ways that we connect to the internet, okay, and allows you to plug in about 5 devices all in one just by having your cell phone, and you don't have to have a separate MiFi device anymore. MiFi little devices used to be wonderful, but now we don't need them because our cell phones can do it. So that's our main ways that we connect, get online and stuff, and hopefully I filled in some blanks there. Let's talk about our internet browsers. Internet browser is a software program that enables you to access, navigate the internet by viewing web pages on your computer, okay? All of them take you to the same internet. Yay, okay? Microsoft 7 comes with Internet Explorer 11. Windows 10 comes with Microsoft Edge. And recently they just updated the little logo there, okay? The Microsoft Edge. So if you're not seeing this blue E, it looks kind of like a kind of a circly thing. I can update that real quick. So it looks kind of like this. It'll look like that blue E. Or the newest logo actually looks a little bit like, it doesn't look a little bit like that. It is that. So that's kind of their newest logo that they have going on. So whatever that's called, I guess it's supposed to look like an E. It may or may not look like an E to you. But there you go. Or it may have this when it eventually updates, and make sure, of course, your computer does do the Windows updates, then it'll turn it into, looks like this logo here. Okay. Now, if you're using Internet Explorer 11 still, you should actually translate to one of the more modern browsers. Okay. Firefox, Google Chrome, or Apple Safari. Okay. Now, there are other ones, but these are the main ones that most people talk about. And remember, Microsoft Edge one's the one that comes with Windows automatically. You don't have to install it separately. The big question I'll get asked about these are, do they conflict with each other? No, they don't. Can you run them at the same time? Yes, you can. Okay. And then someone will say, well, why have more than one? Well, one may have different functions that you're interested in. One, you may go to a website, it's very possible, and it says, I don't support this browser, or maybe that browser's been updated and now they don't support it, and it basically says, hey, take me to a different open it with Microsoft Edge or something for your bank or something like that. So just be aware of that. And Google, of course, is a company. Google Chrome is their web browser. All right, so let's talk about our web addresses, okay? So our web addresses, the big thing about this is, of course, having our address bar at the top. Now, used to, and you'd even see this with movies and stuff in the 90s, you'd actually see that say something like, go to our website, http:// whatever the movie title was. And I believe the trivia is the Stargate movie was actually the first movie that had a website, which was interesting. But believe it or not, the HTTP is still there, and it still pops up. So when we type it in, someone says, hey, go to my website, google.com, nasa.gov, usps.com, augustag.org, something like that. We don't have to have the HTTP on there, but do realize when you click on the address bar and you type those in, you hit enter, it actually will fill out the HTTP part, okay? Which is great, so we don't have to type that in. What does HTTP stand for? It stands for this, but you don't really need to know that. What does www stand for? World Wide Web. Not all addresses need that now. Like you can go www.google.com, or you can just do google.com. It'll take you to the same website, okay? nasa.gov. So we're kind of getting away from the www just because that people don't really want to type that in. What about extensions? Okay. Now the classic one that we see the most of is .com, of course. .com actually stands for commercial. Usually have some people say, is it company? That's fine. What about edu? .edu, of course, stands for education. It could be an email address to a teacher. What about .gov? A government site. Only the government can actually have the .gov. We can't actually purchase .gov. So it's kind of like from the horse's mouth. It's information about taxes, Social Security, state stuff, county information, .gov. That's actually the government site for it. What about .net? What is .net? Well, let me tell you a little story. .net, kind of think about that is an extra one. There are other ones that we're going to talk about too. There's ones like .tv. There's some interesting ones that they're trying to get to be more specific to different companies, just because there's more and more and more websites added every day. .com is really the main one people use. But let's say I was like the American Picker guys and I did antiques, and I had a store here in Augusta, and it was called Augusta Antiques, and I say, hey, I want to start the website. I want to call it AugustaAntiques.com, and I type that in. Come to find out that address is not available. It's for an antique store in Augusta, Maine. Okay, so then I can look and see, is AugustaAntiques.net available? And I type that in. Sure, it's available, and then I can purchase that. And then on my business card and everything will say AugustaAntiques.net on them. Okay. There's some businesses that will even go out of their way and to change their business name so that they can get a domain name or address that's a little bit shorter, kind of easy to remember. What about a .org? Okay. Well, .org is not always for nonprofit. Do you realize anybody can purchase a .org? You and I can go to a domain registration site and purchase a .org. And that actually allows us to do that. So churches will have this, nonprofit organizations will have this, but just be aware when donating any kind of money, because anybody can actually purchase a .org site. Okay. Let's talk about other countries. Okay. You might also see foreign addresses to other countries. As the latest, there's a whole bunch of them, like .jp, there's .ca, .fr, .it, .uk. So what exactly does that mean? Well, if you're surfing the internet and you did see the address, maybe you clicked the address, maybe you're looking at information, and it has one of these other countries' addresses, just realize that those are websites that are registered in those other countries. If you are going to make a purchase, let's say it was something.uk, and you're about to buy something and it's talking about pounds, and you're like, oh, what is this? Well, you may realize that you don't want to pay for the shipping and try to find a country that's closer, or like here, domestic shipping in here in the US or something. Okay, so you may want to look into that. One example is there is Google for Hong Kong. There's google.hk, and the same address is google.com.hk. Okay, so you might see dot the country, or you might see .com dot the country as well. Okay, how could this be helpful? Well, in the future, if you wanted to travel somewhere, maybe you wanted to stay maybe like a small bed and breakfast somewhere, then you could actually do your hunting. And then if you did see that these addresses for other countries, you go, okay, well, that makes sense. That's bed and breakfast somewhere in a different country. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's start talking about what our home page is and everything. And I'm actually going to start my browser. Oh, hang on. Let's talk first. So pops up here. We start our browser. If you don't see this blue E, then you'll see that swirl that I showed a minute ago. Remember, it's being updated. So as your computer updates, it should start to have what looks kind of like that swirl. Like I said, it doesn't really look like an E to me, but excuse me. So if we start our browser, the first page that'll come up is our home page. And what exactly is our home page? Well, our home page is the page that it has been set to load to begin with, okay? Now, Microsoft and a few of the other browsers are kind of walking away from having a little button that has a house on it. But used to, that was a big thing, and you can actually bring that back if you wanted to in the settings, but I won't go into that because that's not the default, and I usually try to teach folks based on what the default of the software is, okay? Or the factory settings, I should say. So if we scroll down here, we'll have our different sites that we can have. We'll talk about our star in just a little bit. We'll actually change our home page, which our first page that comes up. Can you have more than one home page loaded at the same time in different tabs? Yes, you can. Okay. Many folks will make their home page their email, their favorite news site. So let's talk about our browser and some of the settings that have been on here. I still have a few of the things on here that are from the previous version just because I don't know which version you have. And of course, we'll be looking at the most current version because my computer has the most updated version of Windows 10. Okay. So when we first started, it pops up with our home page. My home page currently for this is google.com. We actually have two buttons at the top here that'll show up. We'll talk about these later. It's actually our back button that points to the left and our forward button that points to the right. Another button that we'll see looks like a big circle arrow. That's our refresh button. Okay, so what exactly does the refresh button do? Well, if something does happen with your connection while you're trying to download a website and you see some X's on the screen or something is acting weird on the site, basically hit the refresh. This is basically our restart button or reboot button for web pages, okay? A little side note there, any kind of technical problems that you're having with your computer, if it's acting strange, if one of the things is frozen, if something isn't acting properly on your computer, on your device, on your tablet, on your phone, the best thing to do is to reboot it, okay? Or what some people say is refresh, which just means turn the computer off, turn the device off, turn it back on, and then it should be working properly. Or maybe you need to make sure everything's up to date with software and everything, okay? Just a little side note. Briefly, while it's loading a website, you'll actually see where something pops up and will say stop, okay? Just realize you can click the stop button if you clicked on a website. If you clicked on something and went, oh no, I didn't mean to click that, then just hit the stop button, okay? So as we pull up our browser here, pops up here. We'll talk about these later because right now we can't use them. There's our back button, our forward button, and of course our refresh button. Refresh quite quickly. We're on google.com. Okay. And as we go over here to the right side, let's talk about these buttons over here. Now, depending on what mode you're in, if you're on a website that the Edge browser believes could be viewed in a different way, you'll actually see a button that'll pop up. It looks like a book. That's the read mode. Okay. We also have our star, which allows you to add favorites or bookmarks. Microsoft will call them, Microsoft will call them favorites. Firefox will call them bookmarks. I actually prefer to call them bookmarks because I think that makes a little bit more sense. Okay. Then calling something favorite. If you said, hey, I found a great website and I bookmarked it, you kind of understand that pretty quickly. And someone says, I found a great website and I favorited it. Someone might think, oh, well, you're giving it a thumbs up, like on Facebook, like a like. Not really. So, Microsoft can't use the same name as everybody else, right? So, there you go right there. We also can view our favorites or bookmarks by clicking the other star over there. We have some other features. I won't go into the adding notes thing. I think they've actually removed that. It's like an extra feature now because you can add like little widgets and stuff to this latest version. And we also do have a share button. Okay, that's not there all the time, but there's other ways to do it too. There's the share here if you were looking for that. What does that mean? It's just an easier way to share a website, like to copy it, email it, put it on Facebook or something like that. So our big thing here is we want to look at our history. So if we go up here, we can see this is how we can add a favorite, which we'll talk about later. This is here where we can actually view our favorites. We don't really have many favorites here, just stuff that says like tech news and stuff. And then if we click our three dots here, this is where I'm actually logged in. Three dots here, we can actually go all the way down. Excuse me. If I click here, I can actually go to, hang on. This is when they move stuff around. I'm trying to remember. What am I looking for? Okay, I'm actually looking for, okay, there it is. So I hit the three dots. I can actually see the history on here. Okay, so if you want to look at your history, see what websites you went to earlier today, yesterday, until whatever settings the browser is set to. And also if you want to clear your history, that's where you can click right there to do that. To reopen any of these, all you do is left click it. This is actually a search we did earlier this morning for another class, looking for the price grabber, which is kind of neat. So there's your history if you want to view that. We talked about our share button on there. And then also if we click the three dots, that's where we can go and see our print. Okay. They've also added a feature called Read Aloud. I like this feature. I've used other software that have basically an auto read to you, which is great. This one, I think I've messed around with it a few times and it worked pretty well. The big thing is that if you do use like a free external reader, there's ones out there that you can actually choose different voices. Okay. Okay, and if we go to settings, that allows us to go go into the more settings, the appearance, startup, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. Okay, so let's go on down here. Let's go ahead and visit our first website. And the website we're going to be going to is rootsweb.com. Okay, Rootsweb is actually part of the Ancestry websites. One interesting thing is that I know that our library has limited hours, but with our library we do actually have access to Ancestry.com is a very general connection to it, but there are ways you can call into the library, ask questions about that. There are ways that you can get connected with the Heritage Quest software. I haven't personally used that, but you can call into our libraries and ask them, and librarians are happy to help you set that up and use it, because you can use that from home. Okay. So let's go ahead, and what we're going to do is we're going to click on our address, not here. Click on the actual address. It will turn blue. And then let's type in rootsweb.com and then hit enter on the keyboard. Okay. So I click up here. Now, one thing to note, once I click there, I don't have to hit backspace. I don't have to click on it again. Because it's been selected, I can automatically just start typing, and whatever's there will be erased. Okay. Now, this is a big one. Make sure that what you're typing is spelled properly. As you see, it's already trying to search. Now, this is a Microsoft product, so it's going to try to use the Bing search engine from Microsoft. If you're using Google Chrome or Firefox, it will try to use the Google search engine to try to answer your questions that way. Make sure that you do, before you hit enter, that you know that your web address has been spelled properly. You don't want to go the wrong place and think you're at the right place, because there are advertising websites that will use misspelling domain names. Okay, so do realize that. So let's hit enter, and it takes us to rootsweb.com. Now, if you look and see, we've actually got a little bit of advertisement going on now, don't we? Can you see it? Of course, we're covering all the basics here. If we hover over a link, our mouse will actually change from an arrow to, looks like, the hand. And this is a little bit of an extra reason to use basically a sit-down PC. Then even using the touchscreen on a PC, you don't get this feature more than a tablet, because if we see a website that we're interested in, we can actually take our mouse, hover over the link, and this is the same thing that we had the other day for some reason. It has this thing of when I come back to it, it doesn't do it. It's so funny. I love it when demonstrating something, and then there we go. Demonstrating something and it doesn't want to do it properly. Okay, so a big one here, and I use this all the time, and you don't really get this feature like on a phone or using a touchscreen device. Before you go to the website, take your mouse and hover, and again, it's so funny when demonstrating something, it doesn't want to work all the time. Anyway, so I go here, and you'll see on the bottom left, y'all see that? The bottom left, I can't actually point to it, but as I hover over my links, and since they updated this, I have found there's a few glitchy things going on with this Microsoft Edge, but all our software has a glitch in there somewhere. And then they fix that glitch, they come out with a new version, and then that version has some glitches too. Okay, it's just what happens. So if I hover over the different menu sections, and I can actually see those are Rootsweb addresses down there at the bottom, as you can see. But when I hover over the advertisement, you'll see where it says something like Google Leads, double click, blah, 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 ads. So this is letting me know this is an advertisement. Okay, so I don't really want to go to this website because it's an advertisement, but by just doing the little hover thing, I can see where it's going to take me before I actually click on it. Okay, now we can see where we're going, so that's kind of how our links work. Let's talk about scrolling down, up and down the page, and different ways of doing it, and then we'll talk about zooming in and out of our text. Okay, scrolling. Maybe we should add like a little sound when we go to a different chapter of learning in our classes. Scrolling. Okay, so often a web page holds more information than can fit on one screen. Okay, so we need to scroll down to navigate that page, right? Okay, so one great way of doing it is using our arrow keys. Okay, another way is actually using our scroll bar, which if you've used computer for about 5 minutes, you probably have already gotten used to using that. But do realize there are some options there. I will tell you this, Microsoft and a lot of the other software developers are kind of going more to a way that the scroll bar disappears after a while. And of course, to scroll up and down using a touch screen, you can actually just swipe your finger up and down that way. Okay, up and down the screen, and usually it'll scroll up and down as well. Or if you're using a touch screen on your laptop. So you can click, of course, click the arrow, click, 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 or press and hold, and it'll go faster. You can go to what the bar is, left click, hold, drag your mouse up and down, which I'm going to demonstrate that in a second. Or you can use the arrow keys on your keyboard. It's very direct, it's very fast. Okay. Or you can use the wheel on your mouse if you have an external mouse. And another way, so let me show you that. So we have our scroll bar over here. If we go to the bottom, we can left click, tap, 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 tap. Scroll, click and hold, and it'll go faster. To go back up to the top, tap, 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 scroll, hold. Or we can get right here in the middle, grab the bar, and then we can go up and down a lot faster. Okay. Then use the arrow keys on our keyboard. Now, if your keyboard does have a home tab, I click, okay. If your arrow key on your keyboard does use a home tab, if the keys on your keyboard does have a home, P-U-U-P, page up, P-G-D-N, page down, and of course end. Home will take you all the way to the top of the page. The end button will take you all the way to the bottom. And of course, page up, page down does it in a way that it jumps. Okay. I'm trying to get that to work on my keyboard. Okay. All right. So that's one way of doing it. Now, another way of doing it is actually take the two fingers. Used to with our touch pads. Oh, look, I'm in the family photo. So used to, we would, of course, have our touch pads on our laptops, and on the right side, we had this scroll area. We don't actually have that anymore. It's actually, you're supposed to know that you can do the two finger scroll, take two fingers, place them on the touchpad on the keyboard, and then move them up and down that way, and it'll actually scroll up and down. Okay, so do realize you can do it that way as well. There we go. If you do just one finger, it just moves the mouse around. Okay, so the next part we're going to talk about I clicked the wrong thing, so apparently everybody heard music for a minute. Sorry. Okay, what was I talking about before we had a little musical interlude there? It happens. Sorry. So basically, we can have a scroll bar appear on the bottom if we zoom in too much. That was kind of what we were doing there. Okay, and then we have our zoom in, zoom out here. Okay, and then let's go ahead to our next page. Let's talk about our browser tabs. Did y'all think I just started playing the piano all of a sudden? Did you? Probably. Okay, so with our browser tabs, we of course can open one page, more than one page at a time. And if you're unfamiliar with this, or if you haven't used this much, I recommend trying this out. This of course allows us to serve more than one thing at a time. You'll find that I'll have a whole bunch of browser tabs open at the same time. Used to our browsers, this really slowed them down. But luckily, with our browsers becoming more and more used to this, is what users like, is to having more than one open at the same time. They've actually become better at memory management, so they basically will have the browser, the different browser tabs open, but it won't slow down the computer. They do like a memory. I won't go into that, but they do like a memory swap kind of thing. So let's go ahead, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the plus button. Type in Columbia County ga.gov, and then we'll be able to see our other tab. As you can see, we'll be able to close one of the tabs once we open it if we don't want it open anymore. So if I go up here to our plus sign and I click New Tab, now this is just a temporary page. This is supposed to give me suggestions. I don't customize any of this, and it'll give you like a nice random background, but I'll go up here and I'm going to click it in and hit enter, and it's going to pull up our website for us. Okay, and if we scroll down, see all kinds of information on here about our county, tax information, library information. Yay, library. And it takes you right to our gchrl.org website. Let's see. Okay, so we've got our tabs going on here. Now to flip back and forth, we just click the little top tab, and it kind of pops back and forth. Isn't that nice? And to close them, you just go up here and click the close button, and there you go right there. Okay. All right, so let's go back. Oh, there you go. That's nice. I guess that's because I'm zoomed in. If I zoom out, I bet it won't show. Yep, no, it won't show that. But if I zoom in, then I get this nice little zoom bar. That's nice. Very nice. Okay. But that only shows when I'm actually zoomed in already. Okay, so let's scroll down here. Let's talk about changing our home page. Okay. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to click the three dots. And I think this is going to be a little different because with the new update, it may not be in the exact same place. But again, we're still looking for where it's going to say start page on it. And we're going to change it. Mine already says Google. You can change yours to Google or Yahoo or Bing if you want to. But I'm going to make sure mine says Google on it. Okay. Once you type it in, you basically want to hit save. Okay. And then we'll close it, and then we'll restart our browser, and then we'll see if it worked. Okay. Well, my example says Yahoo, so we'll do that. So I hit the three dots. We go down to where it says settings. And when it says on start up, right now it's set to a specific page. I can add another page too, or I can click our few dots here. Oh, there you go. Use all open page. So I could just go to yahoo.com, click this, and then it'll add it. This is also, remember, you may not be interested in this, but you can actually set up more than one page to be your web browser. Excuse me, your home page if you wanted to. So I'm going to click here, and I'm going to say edit, and I'm going to change it to yahoo.com, hit save, and then I'm going to close my browser, and then when I start it again, and there you go. Now it's taken to yahoo.com. Okay. All right. So and that means it worked. Okay. Now let's talk about saving favorites, bookmarks. Have a web page that you want to visit again. How do we do that? So I believe I already have. Let's see. Yeah, I've already done CNET on here. All right, so I'm actually going to go to TechCrunch, which is another tech news site. Let's see. Oh, I know where I want to go. Let's see. We'll do the PC Magazine because that's been around for years and they still have a really good active news source section. Okay, so let's go ahead to pcmag.com. Got our advertisement going on too. Reviews, all kinds of stuff. Nope, no thanks. So I want to add this to my favorites. I go up here and I click my star. Oh, well, let's talk about that first before we do it. So basically we're going to click the star. I don't see where it has the book part. I guess they've gotten rid of that. There may be a way to bring that back. But anyway, we're going to click favorites and it's going to talk about what I want to call it. And it's actually going to show me the web address as well. Okay. So if I go here, I click the star. It'll pop up, has the name on it. So right now it's the latest technology breakthrough and all that. And that's what it's actually going to be adding. And it actually can add it into the tech folder. I want it to show it in the main favorite folder right now. Hold on. Yeah. Okay, so basically you can set up more than one notebook if you want to. Okay. Or excuse me, not notebook, but folder. You can save more than one folder on here. In a second, I'll show you the other way of doing that. You can click here and create a new folder. I'll show you how to do that in just a second. But anyway, the big thing is this. I'm a big one about going and changing the name to something I actually remember. Okay, so changing something to basically say it shortly so you can see it a little bit better. I am going to save it into the tech news folder and then I'll hit done. Now when I look at my favorites, I go here and I can see PC Mags right there. Now there's kind of here's our new section here. Now, the next thing we want to do is we want to talk about managing our favorites. So if I click here and I click Manage Favorites, it's going to take me here. So now that's full screen, similar to what it looked like I was doing a second ago. But this is a little bit bigger, of course. We have our favorites bar. We have our news. And we can actually create new folders too if we wanted to. You can add new favorites by hand or bookmarks by hand, but it's really best to basically go to the website first and do it that way. So I could add a new folder if I wanted to. Now, why organize the favorites? Well, or bookmarks. It will actually make it easier to find them later. So there was a lady that came to class many years ago, and she said, well, I reorganized my husband's, and they used the same computer. She said, I reorganized my husband and my favorites, and the problem is they can't, he came back and started re-adding them. And she said, I made up separate folders with his name and my name on it. And then he started adding it to the main section down here. So kind of imagine, you know, a whole bunch of different favorites or bookmarks. And the thing about it is now it's all crazy. But the good thing about it, and I asked him, I said, why did you re-add those? He said, well, I couldn't find them, so I just re-added them to the main section. It's like, okay, but her big thing was she had a favorite with her name on it. She said, that's fine. I'm going to save my stuff to my folder. You know, just don't save anything into that folder, and then this will all be fine. So one of the things you may want to do if you do share a computer with someone else to try to keep your favorites and from getting too cluttered or crazy on here, you may just want to make a folder and give it your name, and anytime you save a favorite, just save it to your folder so that you'll know where it is, okay? Do you realize you can have subfolders, just kind of like a file cabinet? And it will pay off to spend a little bit of time here, just maybe renaming something, reorganizing something. Let me see. Oh yeah, there's our remove duplicates and stuff. Now, if I actually click, hang on a second. Do I have to right click on it? Is that what I have to do? Okay. It's not on the main thing here, but if you right click, then you can actually see the edit. Is there another way to do the edit? No, that's about deleting. Okay. But if I right click, it'll actually let me edit, and then I can change the name of it if I want to. Okay. If I do the box, that allows me to delete them if I want to as well. And you can do all that here in the organizer. Okay. Giving it a better name, if it's a website that you're trying to look for a lot. Let's say that you're going to, you know, go out on, you're going to go on a trip and you're trying to find the right hotel. When you're bookmarking the hotel to try to show it to somebody else, you may want to give a little bit more description. You can add, you know, has free Wi-Fi, has indoor pool, something to that effect, just so that you're not driving yourself crazy going, I've bookmarked 10 of these hotels that were a pretty good price. This one's good, that one's good. Which one is better? Let me show it to somebody or family and see what they think. And the problem is now I'm trying to remember which one said they had an indoor pool, which one said, and if you had bookmarked it and customized the title of it, it wouldn't be as confusing. Okay, so a big point to do that. I've even gone back here talking about websites that had good information on them, websites that had like coupons or something like that. Go in here, give it A+, maybe change the name. There was one website that had, the company had a odd name, and I don't even remember what it was, but it was one of those odd name. I just, instead of the name here, I put, you know, great sites or something like that, star, A+ or something. And then that's what I saw because I couldn't really remember what the name of the company website was. But because I was able to customize the favorite here, it actually worked out. Just simple little things that you think about. Okay, so we talked about organizing, deleting. let's talk about some of our links, and then we'll get into talking about our add-ons, okay? And I'll actually pull up my Firefox and you can see the different add-ons that I currently have. Different websites. A lot of folks may not like Wikipedia. There's other websites that are like encyclopedia websites. There's also sites like Google, Yahoo.com, Bing to search. Tomorrow we'll talk more about using our search engine and of course being aware of scams as well. Auction sites. Another little side note, do realize that eBay is just a normal auction site. You bid on something. If you win the auction, then you pay the money, you get the item. Websites like QuidBids, I won't really say are like scam sites, but do realize they're ones that you pay to bid. And if you don't win the item, then you're out money because you have to pay to bid on stuff. Okay. NASA.gov. There's also ColumbiaCounty.gov. Archive.gov is a great resource too. A lot of great free information on there. See, also the Wayback Machine is on there, so if there's a website you've gone to and you want to see what the old version looked like, they've got movies on here. Believe it or not, video games are on here too. There's certain concerts are on here. It connects up with a lot of free information, so archive.org is a great resource, and everything on here is free. And they kind of break it up in an interesting way. Books are on here too. Web, videos, all kinds of information. WebMD, this is another free. Now in our the library resources class, we go into some of the free sources through the library. This is just a website that tries to educate folks. Oh good, now it's apparently getting sponsored by Goodwill in a way. So this has a lot of great training on there, technology skills, office, email, all kinds of stuff on there. Okay. Here's word tips. We talked about Ancestry a little bit. Of course, news sites, local news, and also Snoop's Truth or Fiction help to stamp out rumors and hoaxes and stuff. So we'll talk more about that tomorrow when we start talking about fake news and stuff. Now, do recommend sites like the FTC.gov. They've got connection up to a free annual credit report that you can do. You can go through the FTC.gov website, and I'll show that real quick because you can actually so if you want to file a consumer complaint for identity theft, get your free credit report. And remember, this is .gov site. Add yourself to the registry, do not call registry, or if you want to look at their consumer alerts website as well. And if you scroll to the bottom, well, I don't need to scroll to the bottom because it's right there. You just click there and it takes you to the credit report, free credit report. Okay, other news sites, PC World that we talked about. So let's talk about some of our other add-ons, and I'll talk about some other ones that I've been using lately. What have you been using lately? So this is Adblock Plus. This is basically an ad blocker app that you add onto your web browser. Okay. You can download that. They have different ad blocker browsers that actually you can access. Now, they had this great little video, and the last few times I've tried to find the neat little video and I can't find it, but it explained how they kind of block the add-ons. You basically have a little thing that'll pop up here when you go to the website, and I'll show that in a second. I'm using a different one right now. Click there to block. What is that? That reading mode? Oh, it sure is. Okay, so there's the reading mode that I talked about just for a second. Shoot, I had the wrong. Okay. Yeah. So it was that right there. That's great. Okay. So if I go back, click on our back button, and of course there's our forward button to go forward from our previous page. We also have things like the safe, Norton Safe Web Search. And if we go to, where's my, here it is. It'll talk about safety and threats. If you go here, talk about what phishing attacks are going on, what are they, spyware attacks, what are viruses. It goes into a little bit more detail about that. And they actually used to have a, where is that? Okay, I know they've moved it, but they used to have a password generator that you could actually view, and then it would talk about the main ones not to have. But it looks like they have moved that. So, oh, there it is. There it is. I knew it was on here somewhere. So a big one, it talks about passwords. Definitely make sure that you don't have weak passwords. Don't basically call your, give your password 1 2 3 4 5 6, anything like that. Child's name. You know, don't always use the same password. And they actually have a password generator that you could use as well. Now, I'll just leave this here. I do realize that backing up and your favorites are very important. A lot of the browsers now have things that are set up to do that automatically. If we use like Firefox or Chrome or even the Microsoft Edge, they actually have built-in sections, built-in, you set up a username and password, and they're actually set up to back up your passwords. This is so they'll synchronize them from one browser to another, which is very helpful, and you can actually send web pages from, let's say, your cell phone to your computer and back and forth. Okay, it's not something I use a ton, but it's something pretty neat to know that you can do that. Now, Raindrop is one of those that's supposed to synchronize them across all of the different browsers, but I'm just mostly using the Firefox one recently. So LastPass is a big one that I'll use. It's free to use and download. I think you saw that Norton has one as well that I clicked on and showed a second ago. But this one's free. Basically, it just kind of hangs out on your browser. When you go somewhere, it'll automatically log you in. The good part about it is it doesn't upload your, there's a free version, that's the only version I use. It doesn't upload your password anywhere. And it just kind of hangs out on your device, and they actually have it for the other devices as well. And let's see, you can actually set up a master password. So when you start your browser, it'll ask what the master password is. You can put that in, and then it'll automatically log you in to the rest of them. Okay. So it's recommended. It's free. Very easy to use. And like I said, it doesn't upload your information anywhere. Here's the different websites that recommend it. Doesn't upload your passwords anywhere. It all stays like in a lockbox on that device. Now, I won't get into Ghostery too much. I'm about to pull up Firefox and I'll show you the ones that I'm using. Wouldn't get into Ghostery too much because it can actually break websites so they don't run properly at all. Okay, so do realize that. Duckduckgo actually has a new add-on, and I'll mention that too. So this is basically, this is for, I would say, for more advanced users.
We spend a lot of time online every day.
See, they have a little video.
We use the internet for work, shopping, and entertainment, to look up information and catch up with loved ones. When we do these things online, we hope it's a quick and easy experience, but it turns out that's rarely the case. When you visit a website, it's cluttered with ads and trackers. Trackers are snippets of code that send and receive information about you to other companies. Trackers use this information to target you with ads, analyze your behavior, and connect to social media platforms without your knowledge. This makes websites slower, cluttered, and less private, which can really impede your browsing experience. But here's the good news. Browsing online doesn't have to be frustrating. With Ghostery, it's cleaner, faster, and safer. Trackers are now easier to see and block. You have the flexibility to block a tracker on the current website you're on, block it on all sites, or even keep the tracker on the site if you prefer. By blocking trackers, pages load faster because you've reduced the clutter on the page. Smart blocking works behind the scenes to automatically block trackers that slow down web pages and unblock trackers if they're breaking the website's functionality. Ad blocking keeps you from seeing all those annoying and pestering ads. And enhanced anti-tracking keeps your browsing anonymous to protect your privacy. Also, Ghostery has a simple display option that gives you an easy, no-fuss interface that you don't have to maintain, while still giving you the ability to switch to a more detailed view. And this is just the beginning. The more you browse with Ghostery, the cleaner, faster, and safer the internet becomes for you. Try it today for free at ghostery.com.
Like I said, it is a little bit more advanced than just the normal ad blocking that I'm going to tell you about, because it goes a lot more into detail and insight. So I don't really recommend that except for someone that's a little bit more advanced. The basic add-on blocker, that's how do I get out of this? Okay. Yeah. The basic add-on blocker can be generally used, install it. Very easy to use, and I'll show you the other ones that I'm using on my main browser. So I have a few things up here. One of them is I'm using what's known as Ublock Origin right now, and I'll show you the add-ons. How to customize the add-ons. You basically go to the menu, you do add-ons, and it'll show you which ones you actually have active at the time being. Here's LastPass. Now, just like I talked about using, let's say, the honey coupon one, I probably would not have that on all the time if I was using that. But as you can see, I easily can go in here, uncheck it, and it turns it off. Okay. Even have one that I can and I've actually moved my back and forward button here into the middle just because of moving my arm all the way that way. Just trying to make it quicker. This is one that's kind of neat. This Gestify. It means I can do a right mouse click and drag, and it will actually, and let's see, oops, what is this? Scroll to the bottom. There we go. It actually allows gestures to happen. And I think there's a circle one here. Hang on. Hang on. If I go, there you go, reload. So that's reload. No, hold on. There you go, reload. Back, forward, scroll down, and scroll back up. So that's Gestify, which is kind of neat. I usually use it just to do back. So say my mouse is way down here, and instead of having to drag it all the way up there, I just go whoop, and then there I am right there. You can, I know someone's going to say, you can just use the backspace key. I know that. I know. It's pretty quick and easy too, backspace. But yeah, there you go. So Gestify, I recommend that one. This is one a little bit extra. There is a Duckduckgo add-on now. And if I go to their website, I think it pops up. There it is. Add Duckduckgo. It's actually doing that. I just felt like I had a little bit too much going on because it was wanting me to only search Duckduckgo, which some people that's perfectly fine with for privacy issues. Why use Duckduckgo instead of Google? But some of the settings I was getting with Google I wasn't getting with the DuckDuckGo. Okay. Good, Mac. I'm glad that's interesting. There's also one that I had on here. It's called Read Aloud, text to voice reader. So we have this. Let's see. See if I can get it to do it.
Tired of being tracked online? We can help. Browse as usual, and we'll take care of the rest. We bundled our search engine, tracker blocker, and encryption enforcer into one Firefox extension. Search privately with our app or extension, add private web search to your favorite browser, or search directly at duckduckgo.com. Our private browser for mobile comes equipped with our search engine, tracker block.
So I can hit pause there, and it basically will read what's on the screen.
Ever notice ads constantly following you around? That's in part.
And you can get it to read what you highlight as well. So it's just kind of a quick auto reader. The one thing that's interesting is to do this.
Ever notice ads constantly following you around? That's in part because Google tracks your searches and hides trackers on millions of websites.
Go to another page. Tell it to read you something.
The dog, Canis familiaris when considered a distinct species, or Canis lupus familiaris when considered a subspecies of the wolf, is a domesticated carnivore of the family Canidae. It is part of the wolf-like canids, and is the most widely abundant terrestrial carnivore.
So anyway, that's kind of a fun add-on there too. But the Uniblock is kind of the current ad blocker one that I'm using. Basically with that, it's similar to the little graph video that we saw. It basically has a list of advertisement ads on here, and it basically won't let them load. So if I go to if I go to Rootsweb, and I have the blocker on, and you'll see that the advertisement doesn't pop up. Okay. And if I turn it off, now Firefox has actually added some blocker stuff on here too. So that may be why I'm not seeing it now. Oh, there it is right there. But if I have it turned on and refresh, there you go. It doesn't show it. It's not even, it kind of cuts off the bottom. So there are some websites you'll go to that basically point out that you are using a web blocker. If you do have any problems with the website, then just go up here, click here, and then turn it off for that one thing. And it will list what all it's blocking as well. So they operate similarly. This is one that I'll use. It's our web page zoomer. So if I click here, and it will actually auto zoom everything. If I have it set on auto, then it'll make it as wide as it basically shows as the web page has been designed. So that's the main size is supposed to be here, and if I have it set to auto, there it'll zoom it in there at that size. Okay, so kind of like it automatically zooms in and out. I've kind of enjoyed it lately. There's other ones too that I'll use in the past. Here's the DuckDuckGo one. Like I said, I enjoyed it. It worked really well. But one of the things is, and I'll turn this off, and I think it will block that stuff too. Let's see. Anyway, it gives a rating for the website, which is interesting. And then you can go here and turn it off here as well. But it actually changed my browser so it's searching the DuckDuckGo website. And I could change that, but I decided to just disable it for now. It's also one that pushes it to go HTTPS everywhere. Let's see. There's also one here that allows you to click on a word, right click on a word and say search YouTube, which is interesting. And there's a whole bunch more. If you go to recommended, it'll show you can change the background. And I try to make it very, very small, so I actually have the settings to compact. You can do theming, and if you do plugins, if you do extensions, and go down to where is it? Find more. It actually will list more extensions, ones it recommends, things that'll change the look out of it. There's the Uniblock that I'm using right now. There's the Duckduckgo. I'm not sure what that is. I have to look into that. There's LastPass on here and some other ones too, password managers. So yeah, so that's kind of the little bit of a walkthrough of using the different add-ons. It can add to your enhancement. I have one that's for YouTube and it allows it to pop out, and you just have a little bit more control over some of the videos and the way it plays. So yeah, but it's some neat stuff. So add-ons can change it a little bit, not too much, but the biggest thing people ask me about, of course, is blocking the advertisement and having it a little bit safer. Biggest thing is to make sure you have the newest version of the browser installed, because ones like Google Chrome and Firefox now are having more and more add-ons that, more and more things that are built into the browser for security. They're not fully doing ad blocking on there because, of course, they want to, not hold back a company. Does that make sense? But I'm sure there's money involved in there somewhere. It happens. But try an ad blocker. Just realize you can turn it on and off at any time. Okay. So we're kind of coming to the end of our class here. Let's kind of go over everything that we covered. And does anybody have any final questions? We covered a lot, didn't we? You think so? So we covered what is the internet, basically how we connect to the internet. We talked about internet browsers. We talked about web addresses. What is a home page? How we made it our home page. We talked about using the Edge browser with the menu bar, visiting website. We talked about web addresses. We talked about scrolling, zooming in our text, browser tabs, changing our home page. We talked about saving our favorites and bookmarks, organizing our favorites and bookmarks, and then we talked about links that were recommended to go check out and free browser add-ons, including ad blockers and a whole bunch of other stuff too, password keepers. I've talked to a few people that never used one of those before, and they go, wow, that's a really big help. It is a big help. A lot of our browsers now are kind of getting more involved in remembering that, but I still like the LastPass one because I can customize it a little bit better. Okay, so it's whatever you prefer, just to kind of know that that's out there and kind of choose what you like. Okay, so our handout is listed. It's posted there, I guess you'd say. And let's go ahead and let's talk about what we're going to be doing tomorrow, and then our schedule for next week. Okay, and hopefully you'll join me then. So tomorrow we're going to be doing our introduction to Raspberry Pi and project ideas. Yay, it's going to be fun. I'll actually have a second camera here, and I'll kind of walk through doing some of the projects. I know it's not the same as doing it in person. Usually we have a big class and we have Raspberry Pis for everybody, and y'all come in and we kind of do our projects together, and it's a lot of fun. But of course we're staying home and safe and everything. So if you are wanting to get into this, I'll have the same handout that I'll be passing out then, and also get you started, recommendations, and we'll talk about the Raspberry Pi 4 and some of our other little kind of gadgets and gizmos and stuff like that. Gadgets and gizmos aplenty. And then tomorrow afternoon we'll be doing kind of part 3 of our boot camp class here. talking about using our Google search and internet safety basics. And we'll talk about internet scams, spotting fake news, keeping yourself safe online, all kinds of good stuff like that. And then next week we'll be talking about internet safety and security, which will go more into internet safety, and we'll also be talking about things like what is a VPN and also ways that people can grab our information out of a networked Wi-Fi connection. So we'll be talking about that, keeping ourselves safe and everything. We're also going to be doing that's a morning on the 25th. We're going to be doing that, and on the 26th we'll be doing that in the morning of the 26th. And then on the 26th in the afternoon, we're going to be doing our video creating basics class. We're doing that for our second time, and I've learned some new information, so we'll be working on that and a few projects, and it'll be fun. Okay, hopefully get you started on the right track. And we'll be doing, let's see, yeah, and then on Thursday in the morning we'll be doing gadget help, and the afternoon we'll be doing gadget help too. So it's a drop-in gadget help with me, Alex. So come join us for that. For any questions that you have, I'm happy to help. Do remember our libraries are open with limited services and hours. Curbside whole pickup is available. You can go to gchrl.org for details, or call into the library Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Don't forget to like us on Facebook to keep up to date with our information. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like our videos. Like my video, please. Today, like this video. And if you are searching for our YouTube channel, which is this channel, you can go to GCHRL and just search YouTube for GCHRL videos, and our channel will pop right up. Okay. So, any other questions? All right. Thank you so much for coming by and being in class. Don't forget, you can share this class. The video will be up later. You can share this class with friends or family. And, well, share it with friends, family. Of course, rewatch it again, too. If there's something that I went over, maybe I went over kind of quickly, you can rewind and watch again. Okay? Thanks so much for coming. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and I'll see you guys next week. Have a great Wednesday. Bye-bye.